Gopal Krishna, former shipping secretary, Mr. A.K. Gupta, former CMD of SCI, they both join us. Let's take the conversation forward. Mr. Krishna, Mr. Gupta, good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'll start with you, Mr. Gupta. That do you expect that this time around there would be renewed focus, vigor, and attention by the government in order to kickstart what really could be called as new generation or new age reforms for the shipping sector?
Well, considering that India is the fastest growing economy, in that background, what I see the overall shipping scenario or the maritime sector in India is nothing great. I might be harsh. I can use the word that it is gloomy, depressing. Let's talk about Indian tonnage. We have so much of exim cargo, but what we carry in our bottom is minuscule. About shipbuilding, again, nothing great. CSL, Cochin Shipyard, is the only silver lining, but basically, we just assemble ships here. We don't make ships here in true sense. Ship repair, again, it is not at all to international standards. Port sector, yes, there is some movement there. What happened, a commissioning of Vizhingham Port is something, a welcome sign. We have finally arrived on the international transshipment scenario. Mundra is doing well. All ports are moving towards privatization of berths, landlord model. So port sector, I would say, is still okay. But overall, shipbuilding, ship repair, shipping, our tonnage, well, we are nowhere there. And government has to support the shipping industry. It is not one-time measure. All the initiatives have to be concentrated. See, earlier also in the budgets, we have a lot of expectations. Delegation from the shipping industry meets the revenue secretary. All our demands, expectations are put forward. But ultimately, when the budget comes, there's hardly anything for shipping. So let's hope that this time it does not happen and shipping will really get a boost. This is my prayer.
What could be that boost, and why is that shipping industry, in a sense? I mean, you're hearing it from the former CMD of SCI when he's saying that things are not looking great, good, or even we are anywhere par to the global standard. Why shipping, in a sense, has been the ignored sector by the government, and what can be done in this budget?
Yeah, I quite agree what Mr. Gupta has just presented. And any meaningful assessment of the sector, while Mr. Gupta has given indications, any clear, rational, empirical assessment of the sector, one has to go into numbers. If you see the size of our GDP, it's close to 3.5% of the entire globe. Even though we may be presently fifth by ranking and aspiring to be third in another 2-3 years. But the percentage is close to 3.5%. Our mercantile export and imports, if you see, account for about 4.6% of the global mercantile trade. So any assessment has to keep these two factors in mind, whether it is the manning of the shipping sector, whether it is the shipping sector per se, whether it is shipbuilding. Now, if we go to the tonnage, with Mr. Gupta clearly, very rightly pointed out, our tonnage, the national flag tonnage is only about 0.77% of the globe. Our shipbuilding sector is even worse, absolutely abysmal at 0.07% of the globe, ranking 21st. Only in as far as manning of both officers and the rating go, I think so we are slightly clear or near to our potential. We provide about 7% of the globe's, officers and about 5% of 5.5% of the ratings. Our population, by population, we account for about 17.75 or 17.5% of the globe. So we are near our potential. But both in the
My point is, what data you're sharing?
flag,
Sir, my point is that I completely bring on board what you two fine gentlemen have to say. We've identified the problem. So I have two follow-up
Yes, now
questions.
we have to go what needs to be done.
So what is
So
that?
I was just coming to that.
Yeah,
What needs
please.
to be done and why? What needs to be done? Yes, for the shipping sector, we have to make our rules of flagging. I mean, a lot of flagging takes place in the nations of convenience. So we have to be. Why don't ships flag? As far as ownership goes, double the ships are owned by Indians, but Indians themselves own ships. Don't want to flag it in India. Extra regulation. The Merchant Shipping Act 1967 has undergone a number of iterations. Presently, we have been wanting to have a new Merchant Shipping Act. It is pending with the Parliament, I think so. So we need to pass a new Merchant Shipping Act. Allow be close to the flagging of convenience states. Regulation should be so light, heavily regulated sector. For manning again, the regulator deals with both training of seafarers of the personnel as well as all the regulatory aspects. So that also needs to be split. We need to split our and create very light touch regulations for the manning sector. Mr. Gupta will vouch. We had a training ship which used to long time back. There are no good training ships that we have in our country. We are over dependent on management companies. That needs to change. There has to be some incentive. Creating funds by giving, our local industry, they always demands a lot of financial packages in, funds. I don't think so. That's a way. We have to create policy environment, we have been always been touting that too much benefit is given by the right of refusal to our local ships. It beats competition. And our shipping industry, local shipping industry has to create its own value in such a way that it's able to compete with the shipping lines. The Shipping Corporation of India, which is our largest shipping liner, not to talk of the bulk and the liquid.
Right. Okay, fair point. I'm just going to encourage Mr. Gupta to come in with something that what he expects in this year's budget. Do you expect, Mr. Gupta, anything incremental will be done in this budget, or it's going to be a little bit here, little bit there, and jo chal raha chalta rahega?
See, from my past experience, shipping ministry doesn't have much of say in front of finance ministry and all. So shipping we have to look through a microscope whether anything is there for shipping in the budget. Having said that, we do expect that some boost will come for shipbuilding, some maritime development fund, what the industry has been asking. But in my opinion, this alone will not help. It has to be a concentrated effort. All efforts have to be put in together, a conducive environment. Let's talk about shipbuilding. To promote shipbuilding in India, well, subsidy, it was there earlier in 2007-8. I would say the Indian shipyards missed the bus. But then what we really do, as I said, we only assemble ships in India. We don't have the ancillary industry, those maritime clusters around us. So a lot of hand-holding has to be done, encouragement has to be given so that these things develop. Then Indian ship owners, the government must be facilitative in giving them long-term contracts. If the ship is built in India, let me tell you, suppose a VLCC, it costs about 100 million. If it is built in India, cost and time are a factor. It will cost about 120 millions. Just hypothetical. Now, economic life of a vessel is about 20-25 years. And if the asset price is high, the ship owner has to bear this cost throughout the life of the vessel. So government, if Indian shipbuilding has to be improved, the government has to pitch in and give them long-term contracts from Indian PSUs or even the private companies. I would say let us follow the Japanese model, where ships are built for long-term contracts. And as Mr. Gopal Krishna very rightly said, Indian-built ships should be given preference, right of first refusal, Indian flag, Indian built. See, some small sacrifices have to be made for a bigger gain. This is my submission.
Very incisive. Thank you.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.